Hello, Chick Chatters. We are here with our Thanksgiving special, and we are going to do some really cool stories of the week. We have three for you today, and Brooke has her pumpkin with her.
Brought some decor. Says Lumpkin the pumpkin. Yep. We had some other ideas. Humpty Pumpty was one of them. Remember any of the others we came up with?
I liked Herbert for a second, but we weren't going to go with a realistic name. So that is where you will be seeing Lumpty the whole time. And if anything suits his fancy, he might comment on it, but he's really just a listener.
Another Chick Chatter.
Yeah, he's got stage fright, so we like to respect him, but he really likes screen time. So
well, we usually have a guest on our holiday specials, and we brought Lumpty.
And we love our guests. He just is a little bit mute, so don't expect too much from him. Maybe he might shake his head here or there if you notice, but notice Lumpty shaking his head at some of these stories and let us know. I think that means he disapproves. So it takes a lot.
Yeah. A man of few words. All right, Chick Chatters. Well, welcome to our Thanksgiving special.
And we're going to just get right into it with an Am I the Asshole story. And it's titled, Am I the Asshole for Not Wanting to Do Thanksgiving Dinner at My Parents Without My Wife?
Okay.
Yeah. So this is from 2 years ago, and it goes, I, 30 male, feel stupid for even asking. My sister, 29, and my wife, 34 female, did not have the best history. Before we met, my wife was my sister's landlady, and she was renting the room at the back of my wife's house 6 years ago. She got evicted less than 4 months after moving in because my sister did not pay her rent at all. Then she was taken to court for damages that cost way more than what she had put down on the security deposit. My sister did end up having to pay, but basically hated my wife for this. We met after all of this went down. I went to go pick up my sister's stuff she left behind that my wife was decent enough to not have thrown out yet. We started chatting and really hit it off. Started dating a year and a half later. She got pregnant with our son, now happily married, but my sister never took it well. We weren't as close as before all of this, but after becoming a traitor in her eyes, we didn't talk much. She hasn't even met my son, who's 3. My parents are really trying to push for us all to have a family Thanksgiving at their place. My sister never wanted to go because I'll be there with my wife, and she didn't want to see me. My parents never pushed it before because they didn't think my sister was being fair, considering the issues she has with my wife were all things she did to herself. This year, they feel different though. Since my sister broke up with her boyfriend of 6 years and it's her first holiday without him, she, however, doesn't want to see my son or wife. So that's why they're asking if they can be left at home. My wife doesn't have any other family, and I don't want her and my son missing out because my sister doesn't want them there. It's not a problem for me to miss out on dinner with my wife so my sister could have the company and I just stay at home with my own family. My sister is blowing it out of proportion because she wants me there, but I'm being an asshole because she wants the whole family there. Parents taking her side here because it's been a difficult year with her losing her boyfriend and job, so she just wants one family dinner for Thanksgiving. I get it. It's been a tough year for her. I'm just having a hard time seeing how it's selfish or being inconsiderate for not wanting to exclude my family.
I mean, like, super hot take. This guy is not the asshole. No way, no how am I gonna leave my husband and child at home to do Thanksgiving by themselves so that I can go have a dinner with my family. If the sister needs support, I get that. But like, have a weekly dinner on Fridays. Don't make it about a holiday. This guy is not the asshole at all.
And the son, like you're asking the son to stay home. You don't even want to meet your nephew. Like that's wild.
It's so weird. And like, I don't know, you're gonna just expect on a holiday that this wife just stays home and does what? Like cook what for her and her son? Like, no. I don't know if there's, any more detail at all. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it sounds like the sister was in the wrong about the whole landlord eviction situation anyways. So I understand maybe being embarrassed, but just like apologize and move on at that point. You guys are actually family. So if you want a family dinner, your brother is married and has a child with this woman. Like, she's not going away. And I
Well,
don't
it's
blame
been
him at all.
well, it's been 6 years since that happened. Nobody can move forward. It seems a little
Right.
off. I'm sure the parents are in a rough spot between two different points of view. A lot of times parents don't like to get heavily involved, but it's
Yeah,
just
and
weird.
honestly, I'm not mad at the parents so much. I mean, these are adult children. The parents are in a tough spot. They should probably give support to the person who's struggling, but that doesn't mean that they're right either. So,
It just seems like a lot to ask the whole family to stay home. Like you said, what do you want them to do on Thanksgiving? What else is there to do but eat and watch the
nothing is
games or
even
something?
open. Like, they can't even like really order out. Like, I think there's some Chinese restaurants open, or is that something
You go to
people do on
Cracker
Christmas? I
Barrel.
don't remember.
You can
True.
go
And that sounds thrilling, right? Taking yourself and your child to Cracker Barrel alone when you have a whole husband somewhere. Like, absolutely not. I wouldn't be okay with it as a wife. I wouldn't be okay with it if the roles were reversed. And that's something that, if I had a sibling that they were asking for, I'll come see you tomorrow for dinner, the next day for dinner. I'll come over twice a week for dinner if you're struggling that bad, but not on a holiday am I gonna make my spouse be alone. You have other family members. I guess if the sister was gonna be, like, completely alone, it would be a different story, but the parents sound supportive, so it's just gonna have to be a split up holiday. If that's the boundary the sister is making, that she can't be around the sister, she cannot control other people's behaviors about that boundary. They have to make their own choices. She can't, it's not allowed.
And as a side note, if you are a lonely wife and mother who has just your son with you on Thanksgiving and you're going to Cracker Barrel, please tip well. None of us want to be there.
None of us.
I'm just throwing that in there. I think that the request is ridiculous, but she's not the one posting. It's this guy. So, no, you're not the asshole, but I just don't know how you move forward from that. I mean, I feel like you should have a talk with your sister and your parents, maybe just have a little group meeting about Thanksgiving and just lay the law down and let her know, like, let's move forward. I'm sure the wife's even willing to throw out an I'm sorry here or there at this point. Like, let's just make amends no matter
She
what way we
has
got to do it.
nothing to apologize for.
She doesn't, but you know what? Sometimes you
No,
just
I
gotta.
know. She's probably willing to be the bigger person, but she really, it's unnecessary. The sister is dramatic.
Well, it's not even like the wife has to fully apologize, just kind of be like, "You know what? I wish that our relationship wasn't like this, and I would like to start over, whatever the case is." Doesn't have to be a full-blown apology, but maybe I don't know. I just feel like there has to be some way to bridge the gap because there's a kid involved now that doesn't even know who she is, and she doesn't even know what she's missing out on because she's never met him. So it's easier for her to
Yeah,
just be like,
that's
"Leave
sad.
the kid at home." That's why I think she's like, leave the kid at home because she can't see him once because then she's gonna want to see him again. You know? How can you not? I don't get along with my sister all the time, but I definitely couldn't be like, oh, I never want to see my nieces or nephews again because I don't get along with her. And
Unless
then move
there's something,
forward.
like, abusive going on, then you can probably figure out a way to get through a holiday dinner. If you need, 90% of the people in that room to be there, you can deal with 10% not being your favorite people, or you should be
And
able to. I mean, we're adults.
and that's where you guys get together as family functions. I get it's a holiday, but I mean, who's got the most perfect holidays ever, you know? This is where you have conversations and things. So might as well,
Right,
so we can move forward.
right.
Have a few
Yeah, this is
drinks.
why there's so many jokes about, like, Thanksgiving being such a dramatic holiday, because this is when you get the people together who don't really like each other all the time.
You cannot choose your family or your in-laws. It's just the way it is. And but that's just so long ago that I feel like there is hope there. It's not like it's a recent thing that's happened. This was
Yeah,
6
you're
years
right.
ago. I just feel like there is hope there, but it's not going to have hope if you continue to avoid each other for the next 3 years plus.
Over something that was really already settled, right? You guys went to court? they went to court and it was settled.
Right. And the sister was wrong. I'm sure it's hard to admit when you're wrong and you lost money. That sucks. But
She didn't lose money. She didn't pay her damn rent.
there are still some comments on here. The top comment with 8,000 plus upvotes says, "Not the asshole. It's been 6 years and your sister was at fault. Time to grow up and drop the grudge. And the fact that she would hold it against your toddler is ridiculous. If she wants her whole family there, she needs to accept that your wife and child are family, whether she likes it or not. Family does not always get along. She needs to deal with that or not expect you there." It's not about the OP being the asshole or not. It's more like I wish the sister posted this so she could get a little clarity because
Yeah, she should
she's
be
the one that
asking if
needs
she's
it.
the asshole. Yeah.
Here.
Maybe he'll send her the link, after enough people comment.
Well, it's been 2 years. Hopefully, maybe she's read it herself. Get it? Read it.
You read it on Reddit.
So OP responded to that comment. He said, "That's how I feel too. My wife was the wrong party and she's over it now. I'm sure because my sister was the one who had to pay out of pocket, she feels differently about it. But still, like you said, it's been 6 years."
I think the sister's being dramatic. I feel bad that this brother has to come Reddit to wonder if he is being an asshole or not, because I think that this is a pretty straightforward situation. I mean, this has been years. They are married, they have a child together. Again, if you really don't want the wife around, you can't be mad or hold it against the brother that he's going to be with his wife on a holiday.
If you let her do this on Thanksgiving and you just show up, then she's going to do it for Christmas and every other holiday. She's got to get over it somehow, and she's going to have to confront these people, including, I guess, the toddler that did nothing to her. There's got to be some growth on her end, like the commenter said.
I get it. And I get that she's having a hard time, but that doesn't mean that you just take over an entire holiday because you need it. Like, that's so selfish.
For the parents too to not feel that, like to not kind of even play off of that and be like, if we do this now, we're gonna have to do this all the time. So why don't we just bridge the gap here? You get comfortable not seeing somebody if there's a way around it. Oh, they'll schedule Thanksgiving without her. Perfect. What about Christmas? What about Hanukkah? What about New Year's? What about birthdays?
Birthdays, 4th of July.
When you guys are on your deathbeds, let's not let them in the room, your own grandson. Like, oh, come on. Can we move past this?
Yeah, stop it. It's really petty. I hope somebody shares this with her. She needs to, I don't know, do some inward soul searching.
Maybe she's a chick chatter. Hopefully not.
We love all of our chick chatters, and we're not judging. You're the asshole here today in this situation. It doesn't mean that you are an asshole all the time. They're definitely missing out on, time with their nephew right now, and that's just time you're never gonna get back. Sad.
Yeah, because it sounds like a money issue and not so much of a personality issue. Like, oh, I don't like this person because they were horrible to me. There was finances involved and material things. If it wasn't for those things, would you like this person at the end of the day? And maybe you would. So maybe just try to give it a second shot. It's been a long time. So another comment says, "Your parents have clearly babied your sister her whole life if they've allowed this to go on this long. This should have been nipped in the bud years ago, but for some reason, none of you put your foot down with her tantrums. Your responsibility is to your wife and child." End of story. If your parents are going to act this irrationally and bend to your sister's hysterics, it may be time to draw a line in the sand. This is one of those times when taking no side is actually taking a side, when one party is clearly in the wrong.
So this is everything. This is absolute facts.
Sister needs that comment framed for Christmas.
I don't blame the parents for agreeing to be present to support the daughter here, the sister. However, they should not be endorsing or co-signing this ridiculous every member of my blood family has to be here and nobody else. Like, they should be saying, we will be here, but if you're going to do that to your brother, putting him in a kind of difficult position. So you're going to have to deal with whatever he says. They should be a little more impartial in that situation. I understand being with her on a holiday over being with the person who has a family and a wife if it has to be split up, but they should be more impartial that this is not the brother's choosing by any means.
OP responded to that comment that he said, for the past few years, they told her if she doesn't want to be around my family, then she can be excluded from family events. This is the only time they want to do whatever to make her happy because of what's been going on. I take conflict with that anyways, because, okay, yeah, right now it's easier to push the sister to the side because she doesn't have kids or anything like that. But what happens when the sister has kids? You're going to just shoo her family from the family events? You got to be able to work this out. There's just no way around it. She's
Yeah.
doesn't have kids, it seems like, or a family now, but it will get there for her too. And it'll be the same said about you then, that you don't know your niece or nephew. So
Mhm.
gonna get ugly if it doesn't get resolved.
So this is like a family thing then. It seems like the parents are more involved in this.
I guess so. And then a little bit more info on the whole apartment situation. Somebody did ask OP, did your sister trash the place for getting rightfully evicted? And OP said, yes, she did. Got drunk when she got the eviction notice and trashed it the day before she left.
She is not looking to be the greatest decision maker. It's just not looking good for her. So you are telling me from the opposite end of this that as the brother here who's married, you as my sister who has a history of trashing the place that my wife invested in, had to go to court with her to argue with her about it, didn't even wake up sober the next morning and go, "Oh, I must have messed up. Let me just make this right." No, you had to go all the way to court and be told by a judge that you had to pay this person money. Now, several years later, after you have a niece or nephew or whatever with this person, you're now asking your brother to just abandon his family for a holiday because you've been having a hard time. No, it sounds like you're not the most supportive sister in the world either. Like, why on earth would this brother be motivated to do anything for this person? She sounds awful. I'm triggered.
Well, let's think this through. In her best case scenario, he comes to this dinner without his family, right? What are they going to talk about? I'm sure all he has to talk about is his family and his kids and how his kid
Yeah,
is
the
developing.
things
And he's
she
probably going to show photos and what? Like, what are you going to talk about? Things from like 6 years ago? This doesn't make any sense. The sister just needs to be hit with a ton of bricks. The sister just needs to have the great realization that it's time. It's time to move forward. It's time to move on. And
she needs
life
to
is
be
too.
concussed to have a realization.
We need to hit her with a ton of bricks. Okay, so one more comment. It says, not the asshole. That sucks that your sister is sad, but she broke up with him, so wasn't like she was dumped, etc. No one ever called her out on her not paying the rent. What was her plan? Anyway, I do find the situation interesting dash funny because if she had paid the rent and the contract ended smoothly, you likely never would have met your wife. You said that you and your sister weren't even that close before the eviction incident. Why is she being clingy now? Don't leave your wife and child alone on Thanksgiving. How enjoyable would the evening be, anyways?
Yeah, it doesn't
Wow.
sound like this family gets along even well enough to be like, I need my family on Thanksgiving. For what? Like, you're better off just hanging out with your parents, the people who want to be with you, and like, call it a day. It's not a big deal. Have some turkey, take a nap.
It's
Have a
like phone.
pumpkin.
Have a pumpkin. I just wonder how this phone call went with his parents when they called him and were like, hey, we just want to invite you to Thanksgiving. We were just wondering if you could bring like pumpkin pie. Oh, will you leave your wife and son at home though? Because your sister's coming. Thanks. What? Like, what?
Bring a pie, leave the wife. See you there. Love ya.
Bring a dish. Don't forget the
And you know
dish.
who's going to get the pie 9 times out of 10? It's the damn wife.
The only person who makes any sense here is OP, but it seems like they're just fighting an
He's
uphill
just
battle with
stuck.
these people.
I mean, he made the right decision. That's the thing. He's obviously getting, pushback from his family, but his family is a little bit wacky, if you ask me. So, but most families are. That's the joy of Thanksgiving.
It is kind of funny though that he ended up marrying the lady that evicted his sister when
It's
I guess
hilarious.
that's how he met her. So if that's how he met her, then that's really funny because wow.
Yeah, and I mean, if I were the sister, I would be, like, looking at my brother side-eyed. I could get, I guess, being petty for a little while, but not for several years when you now have, a nephew or what. No, it's time to move on.
Once there's kids, things get different. So OP responded to that comment and they said, I don't really know the full details, but regardless if it was a mutual breakup or got dumped, it wouldn't have made the difference for me personally. Oh, and trust me, we all have. She thinks my wife wasn't fair, not giving her enough time to pay the rent after she told her that she would have the money soon. I've thought about that too. Crazy how things turn out in unexpected ways. From OP's comments, it seems like they are not really going to be meeting up with his family for Thanksgiving. They're just going to be doing their own thing at the house. I wonder if that's gotten any
Mhm.
better the last couple of years. But
More than likely, probably not, but, I mean, maybe they can all be in the same room together at this point. I guess we could hope.
we hope for a better Thanksgiving future for this family, that they
Mhm.
crawl out of this disagreement from the past and don't let it ruin their Thanksgiving future.
I concur.
I think that's a good ending because there's no other updates, and the last comments are from 2 years ago. So, all right, chick chatters. Well, that is our part one story.
Let
To
us know what you
be,
think. Have you
yeah.
ever been in a sticky family situation like this? Yeah, let us know.
Hello there, chick chatters, and welcome back to the second part of our three-part holiday special. And we are back with another Am I the Asshole story. I believe they're all Am I the Asshole stories.
With Lumpkin the Pumpkin,
Oh,
our
yes. They're
guest of the special.
Lumpkin, if you caught him last episode, he did shake his head, I believe, once. But
Mm, I think it's more of a feather blow, possibly a feather of.
you really got to know what you're looking for. This story is from 2 years ago as well. So 2 years ago, it seems like Thanksgiving was just a rough holiday for
2 years
people.
ago is what, 2021? So that means a lot of people probably didn't gather in 2020 for the precautions. It was probably
Hmm.
like 2 years of just pent up family BS coming up on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And everybody had BS with their family during COVID. Everybody had opinions, right? Even if it wasn't about that, we just got people being mad.
It was a year to be mad, a couple years to be mad. So this story is titled, Am I the Asshole for Having Kicked My Daughter-in-Law Out of My Thanksgiving Meal After Her Vegan Feast Fiasco?
Proceed.
So this goes, my daughter, 21, lives with us while finishing college. My son, 27, lives in the same city, and I babysit his children, 3 and 4. My sister, who drove 3 hours with her husband and son, 16, come to see us, and they have been taking extra precautions prior to this event. Everyone was safe. The daughter in law and I don't get along for many reasons. I won't get into it. She's also just one of those condescending people who thinks that constantly looking down on others, especially because of her veganism. I feel like there's a better way to say that.
There's probably is.
Whatever. So last Thanksgiving, she raised hell over me making a turkey and claimed that there weren't any vegan options, but there were. Last week, daughter in law contacts me on Facebook asking for the menu and then telling me what will and won't work. She also sent me many replication recipes to make for her with extensive specialty items. In all of them, many I didn't know what they were. This annoyed me because I had already made sure to give my son and her kids vegan options for the day, but it wasn't good enough. I finally just told her to go pound sand and that she could bring her own dish for her family if she was that picky. So Thanksgiving happens. They arrive late with a ton of food dishes, parading them in, all with this vindictive grin on her face. Turns out of spite, took the exact menu and she made her own version of every single dish. Needless to say, I was livid, but I held my tongue. My sister and daughter, in particular, did try the food and enjoy it. Every time they complimented her, she would give me this look as she received her thanks before tacking on something like, I just wanted to make a Thanksgiving meal that everyone could enjoy. The part where I finally snapped was at dessert. We have a family tradition where right before we sit down, we say what we're thankful for. It's usually for family or being able to get together. When at her turn, she got the same smug, vindictive grin on her face and in the most condescending way said, I'm thankful for starting a new tradition of a cruelty free, inclusive Thanksgiving, and I hope it continues every year. Reddit, I saw red. I waited until my turn and then said as calmly as I could that I was thankful that this would be the last Thanksgiving I'd be spending with her. It took them a moment to catch on, and soon enough, nasty words were being exchanged on both sides. I finally kicked them out. I didn't think about it until this evening when my son sent me a text telling me that he would not be letting his children come over until I personally apologized to his wife. He said that while he sees my side, she didn't mean it, and that I took it way too far by publicly embarrassing her when she spent so much time making food for everyone. My husband is telling me I should just apologize because it was rude of me and it wasn't worth it. He doesn't really get why it hurt me so much that she copied my meal to one up me and thinks the more food, the merrier. Am I the asshole here? Let me know.
I think that this got out of hand the way that it actually went down. I don't see a problem with like bringing some similar dishes, but it's clear there was like an intent there when people said, "Oh, I like this," or whatever, that she was being like petty about it. I think by the time, yeah, by the end with the desserts and the back and forth, like that just got completely out of hand. And I don't blame her for, I guess, wanting to draw a line. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's really weird that this girl copied the entire menu and spent all that money to make vegan options because y'all know vegan food is expensive. She
Mhm.
copied that whole menu for a Thanksgiving and they were gonna have double the food. That's crazy
Well,
wild to
my
me.
thing is like I feel like that family probably would have made a couple of those things, a few of those things, even if they had their own Thanksgiving at home. So I could see making like quite a few of those options, right? Like a vegan meat, turkey, whatever option. I understand you have family members who are vegan. I do think it's important that you provide enough food to make them feel included, not just like a vegan onions and carrots or something. Like everyone
Right.
else is eating a full meal. And if you can't do that, then you should tell the person, "Hey, I can do X, Y, and Z. I cannot do the list that you gave me, but feel free to bring all of those things," which it sounds like that kind of happened. And so I don't think it's awful that they brought enough to have, a meal. They probably would have cooked that at home anyways. But again, it's if they would have just left it at that and maybe the mom could have kept her mouth shut with her being, understandably irritated and the daughter-in-law could have kept her mouth shut, like then that all could have been fine. But no, they wanted to petty with each other during their gratitude, thankful speech. Like just come on. Like, that just got out of hand.
Well, and as the husband too, why didn't you kind of be like, okay, 3 or 4 dishes or 5 dishes is enough. Let's not do a whole feast. Like maybe a couple of these
Right.
dishes is all right, but let's put a cap on it because it really is up to the midway person, which is the son in the situation, to really bridge the gap between his wife and his mom.
Mhm.
There's kids, it seems like. Yeah, there's 2 kids involved, so everybody's kind of tied forever regardless of how the marriage goes
Let
across.
them know, "Hey, we're gonna bring quite a bit of food over." I mean, again,
Yeah,
I
at
don't
least
really have a problem with the amount of food that they bring over for themselves to share and bring home. I mean, that's their problem, I could see it being offensive, but I mean, they're vegans, they're not gonna eat the other dinner, so
I don't see why he didn't at least warn his mom. I mean, let her know so she can kind of go through this whole process before this woman gets here. Because all she sees is all these plates coming in. Just be like, "Hey, mom, heads up. Your phone call
we're
with her,
bringing
whatever you said to her, did not go over very well. She's making a whole feast in here. So I'm just letting you know she's bringing it with her, and we're gonna have
right.
2 Thanksgiving feasts. That's what it is, and we're all coming, and
Mhm.
we're just gonna have a good time. Just don't think about it.
That's
Explain
what I mean,
something."
like, this could be very simple. I kind of get what the wife is saying with, like, the more food, the merrier, I guess. If people that aren't vegans wanna try vegan options and they end up liking them, I don't think that that's a bad thing if there's 2 options there because a whole family is vegan. You
Mhm.
also should not invite a whole family that's vegan to your house and not have more than, a couple things. I don't know what she offered, what was on this extensive list, we don't have the details,
Right.
of course, but and I also don't think it's appropriate to ask for an extensive list to be made for you. I think you should just say, "I'll bring my own X, Y, and Z." It sounds like she brought the whole damn alphabet, but
You've got ingredients on there that people don't even know. That's, I mean, kinda wild, so I would at least include some photos of these vegetables and things, so this way people know what to
right.
look for. You don't wanna get poisoned
So
by these
true.
people. I'm not vegan or anything, but I know as a vegan, they're very particular in how it's even prepared, so to just trust a normal person to just cook your vegan meal is pretty
Well,
ballsy
that's what I
almost,
was
so
just kind of thinking in my mind was, like, what a good opportunity to come over, not late, maybe early, and cook some vegan meals, like, with your mother-in-law. If we're gonna have holidays together and you're gonna expect that these things are honored, which I think is acceptable, then,
Mhm.
like, cook some meals with her, show her how to make a couple of basic things, and then you can bring the rest, like a normal person.
I honestly, that's a good idea. I don't know, I don't get why they don't get along for that to happen. I feel like that's a very reasonable thing to do is, "Hey, let's all get together and cook these vegan meals," because also the grandmother's watching the kids, and the kids are vegan, so she might wanna
Right.
know maybe a few extra recipes. I don't know, why not?
I think I solved it. I think that these 2 need to have a therapy cooking session together, and they could just
Mm,
hash all this out with some
yeah,
vegetables.
and a therapy chef, but not like Gordon Ramsay or anything.
You know what? I was actually gonna say Gordon Ramsay because he's a good little therapist on his, like, Kitchen Nightmare show, and I think he even had a couples show back in the day. It wasn't a good one, but
The most upvoted comment says, "Not the asshole. She did it out of spite. She owes you an apology. That's extremely rude to bring an entire new meal without the host's permission. She sprung on to you 2 dinners, wasting all that food for a vegan. Really, that's not that smart. Your son also is fully aware she meant it. Inform your son you know not to say a word to her until she begs forgiveness for being so spiteful on a holiday about giving thanks. It's also not your problem how much money she wasted. That's on her and your son for allowing his wife to behave so poorly to his family, and the blame is fully on her."
that
Edit to
part is
say,
real true.
yeah. Edit to say, way to weaponize kids for their parents' shortcomings. They should not be trying to strong arm an apology for something they did at the threat of grandkids. At the end of the day, the kids always get hurt the most. I personally feel putting up with bad parents isn't worth it for the kids. It's far much heartache and you'll never win.
I think it's fine that she brought the food. It's not okay though to be like about how much like you chose to bring the food. So
I might have a hot take. I don't think it's okay that she brought the food, but I only think that because she didn't give a heads up, like, "Hey, you can't accommodate for me, so I'm just gonna bring, like, all of it." At least let
right,
the woman know how many
right.
things
And
you're
again,
bringing
I
because
think there was an intention there too, beyond just serving herself food that she can eat and her family can eat. I think I am kind of boiling it down to something more innocent than it really is because she did come in there with a whole ass menu that was the same. And it sounds like she sent her options before
Mhm.
knowing, like, what the so I don't I don't know. I think I am kind of being a little bit I think I'm
Well,
giving her the benefit of the doubt. I think she came in with some intention to stir the pot.
I think the act on its own wouldn't be so bad if the intention wasn't so nasty.
Well, and it
To
wasn't even a
me,
passive aggressive intention. She got aggressive at dessert time, like,
yeah,
"I'm grateful that I can bring all this food and also about it."
this woman, already slaved over a stove, and I don't know. In-law relationships are so difficult and so muddy because it really can go sideways so quick, and I don't know why you would
Yeah.
want that for yourself. Either one of them, I don't know why they would want this, but I don't know. It's off to me. I don't know. I need more of their backstory to know why it's gotten this petty because it's just such a weird thing to show up to the Thanksgiving with a whole meal. Like, not just a turkey substitute and a couple sides. Like, it was probably a turkey substitute, a couple sides, desserts, this, that. And mind you, maybe if she told the mom ahead of time that she was bringing the whole meal, the mom might not have made as many things. The food waste is pretty much on her. She could have either cut her portions in half or she could have, like, not made that dish or whatever. I just feel like it's sticky, but I definitely feel like the daughter-in-law is definitely more in the wrong. I do think that kind of everybody sucks if I could have picked that option.
As far
Don't
as, like,
think
the food goes, I don't think anyone's the asshole. I think it's just a matter of, like, differences. But as far as the social stuff goes, like, the daughter-in-law should have never said anything at all. She should have in fact, if she came in there with all that food and didn't say anything to her ahead of time, like you said, and like a lot of people said, she should have probably pulled her aside almost immediately and been like, "Look, sorry I couldn't, tell you, but this is what we decided to do because we wanted to come and still be included,
mm,
blah blah blah." She should have done that, not in some passive aggressive sort of in front of everybody talk about how she's gonna do this all the time. That part I don't
mm.
like, and I cannot get behind at all.
Okay, so OP does have a couple edits. The first edit says, "Edit for info." So I absolutely had vegan options for them to begin with. I had an entree for them, plus some backup nuggets for the kids, a few side dishes. Most were vegan with non-vegan add-ons, and a dessert that I had made. She told me that those were fine, but the other entrees wouldn't work, and that I needed to make them all vegan. It wasn't a request to make something in particular, it was a demand that I redo everything. My son let it slip that she spent hundreds of dollars on the food to make what she did, and he seemed to blame me for that. Another note is that although the threat of grandchildren hurts every time, it isn't the first time. Last time she made it 2 weeks and I gave in because they rely on the free childcare 4 times a week while she's working. I did not literally tell her to go pound sand. That is an expression. I told her that was the menu and that it will not be changed, but she was welcome to bring her own dish for the family. So,
I did not realize that this girl was demanding that everything off.
me neither. So that kind of clears that up a lot. Yeah, I definitely not the asshole then. My opinion shifts from everybody sucks to not the asshole because you gave a lot of options and she could have also brought alternatives to the options you didn't provide all whatever for. And if
Right,
she
a dish
said that,
or 2.
yeah. What's wilder to me is that why do you feel the need to give in? You have the upper hand with the childcare thing. They need you for the childcare. You're not wrong
Yeah.
here. So use that as leverage. Be like, all right, fine. Have fun at work. I'll be home.
It is sad, like, I don't like the whole withholding, children part, and I'm not surprised that it's not the first time, like,
Mhm.
people who do that are gonna continue to do that, that's just who they are. It's not nice for anyone involved, and most especially the kids, and if these kids are spending 4 days a week with their grandma, to just stop that all of a sudden for some petty BS, like, about the adults that they're gonna get over in a couple of weeks is that's not cool.
So I'm saying don't even apologize. 2 days and they'll be back if you
Yeah.
just kinda hold
Yeah,
out.
she's
Like,
gonna just drop your kids off at the doorstep. She's just not gonna say hi. Like, it's gonna be alright. It'll probably be better for you guys for a while.
if you don't draw a line in the sand with this woman, she's gonna constantly be doing these things to undermine you, and she did
Yeah,
it publicly in front of people. That's really
yeah.
oof. Ooh, it's
Yeah,
bold.
that's disrespectful, it is. And I do kind of side eye, the son in this whole situation because he should have stopped multiple people multiple times ago and communicated things a lot better because this could have not been a huge issue had somebody who loves both of these women, like the son, just tried to mediate the situation a little bit better.
Well, the thing is for the daughter-in-law, if you know you have all these, like, food restrictions and you want a full-blown Thanksgiving, just offer to host the Thanksgiving even, and have the mother-in-law bring her secondary options. I don't know, but you
So
gotta be
wonderful.
okay being around the normies sometimes. Not everybody
Yeah.
around you is going to be vegan. Just like the normies have to accept the vegan options and having them there and being inclusive in that way. I do feel like there should be options for the daughter-in-law. I don't think she should have shown up to Thanksgiving dinner and had like one or two options and that was it. And all she was going to do is pick on stuff with her kids and watch everybody eat. No, but I do think it's overboard to bring a whole Thanksgiving feast, especially if the mother-in-law already made your vegan options on top of that. So
It
what
sounds
if
like
she
there was a few things, like you're gonna have a plate.
yeah, it sounds like she was making the vegan options and the regular options, and this woman showed up with all the vegan options. So if that's the case, oof.
Daughter-in-law was she cooked all this food in spite, pissed off the whole time. It was not cooked with love, it was cooked with anger. She brought her angry food over to her mother-in-law's house and picked a fight with her. Like, I think my opinion has changed here.
We have another edit, and it
Oh
says,
god.
wow, this really blew up. I have a mini update. I've spoken with my husband, and I've told him that I flat out feel unappreciated. I spent days making this meal, and for him, who watched me struggle, to blow it off as nothing was honestly hurtful. I additionally reminded him of the other issues we've had and have informed him that I no longer am going to be taking this from her or my son. He is welcome to talk to them if he likes, but I personally am done. I am done being their free laborer. I am done being their punching bag and power step. I am done just all around. We talked it a bit more, and he respects my choice and has apologized for his part in all of this. Next, I told my son that if he wants to continue to try and manipulate me with my grandchildren, then I think that it's best that we cut contact for a while because I'm beyond her. I've explained my side to him in tears, and it was met with, "I know, but I just told him to stop. He gets free childcare. It's manipulative. He claims that he isn't part of it and it's just his wife and that I know how she is. But I'm realizing that he's actually a huge part of it for enabling her. I've told
Yeah.
him that I'm always there for his children and that for now, I'd rather not have contact with them unless there's a dire emergency with no other options, or they both apologize. That includes the consistent free labor. His response was that I was making it difficult because his wife would be upset if he apologized to me. That solidified my decision, and I've cut contact. My daughter is aware of what's happening, and she's taken my side on this. Please do not send me hate DMs about your personal opinion over me not being vegan. You will simply be reported and blocked. I will not be answering. I do not wish to have a conversation with you, especially in DMs over veganism and whether or not it is better. Please respect that. Thank you. I'm with her on
Oh
that.
my
Leave this woman
god.
alone about the veganism.
I
Have
know,
your
and you know
way.
what? Like, it's such an intense lifestyle, I get it, and people are passionate about it, but people have to make their own choices.
I'm glad she put her foot down,
Yeah,
and
me too.
I think she needed to. I think that that was the perfect decision. I mean, I'm sure she's not cutting off her grandkids for life. I think she just needs them to realize, "Hey, we need her. We're gonna have to apologize." I think she knows where I'm getting at. I think
Mhm.
we need her. Weaponize me
Yeah.
with the kids, I'm gonna weaponize you because that was a stupid move. To weaponize with something you need, weaponize childcare for childcare. Like, are you kidding?
Right. Yeah, you're about to lose hundreds of dollars a month because of this mistake that you made over dessert. Because you didn't just lose a couple $100 you spent on the goddamn vegan replica. You're about to be shelling out hundreds of dollars a month now for childcare.
I vote not the asshole. I don't think that this woman is the asshole. I think she is doing right by standing her ground and saying, she slaved over this Thanksgiving, and this woman shows up with all these things, doesn't give her any notice, and then proceeds to shame her in front of her family members, and then now wants an apology before she gets her free childcare. No. No.
Yeah, it's a no for me too. Yeah. No, I've changed my tune. I'm fully on the other side now. Now that I know what was offered and what was, initially provided, it sounds like it was completely unnecessary. I think, in fact, the daughter-in-law is mostly the asshole, about 95.5% the asshole here
And
today.
kudos to the husband for changing his perspective too, because it's good to have a little bit of support there.
I think that last comment was right too about son is just enabling all of this. He cannot just throw his hands up and be like, "Oh, it's just between you two." No, it's not actually.
Well, thank you, Chick Chatters, for joining our part 2, and look ahead for part 3 coming right at you. Hello there, Chick Chatters, and thanks for joining us for part 3 of the 3-part Thanksgiving special. We are back again with Lumpty Pumpty, a little bit of pumpkin spice in our lives.
Thanks for joining us, Lumpty.
Yes. Hopefully you don't have a great fall like the ones before you, but we are back with yet another Am I the Asshole? And this one is titled, Am I the Asshole for Laughing After My Sister Implied My Brother's Girlfriend's Dish Wasn't Good at Thanksgiving? So this one is from a year ago, so it's a little bit more recent than the other two, but it goes, I, 27 female, and my brother, John, 26 male, I guess she's fake naming him, are very close. So I was definitely shocked when he surprised us on Thanksgiving by bringing his new girlfriend, Chelsea. Also, so I can only assume that these are fake names, Chick Chatters, aliases, if you will. He was very happy though, and to be honest, that's the only thing we want for him. So we, the grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, held off on all questions until another time. Anyway, dinner time rolls around and we're sharing everything. And my aunt kind of pulls me off to the side and tells me we're not going to be eating my mashed potatoes because Chelsea brought some and John asked that we serve those instead. I was a little peeved, I'm not going to lie, because I've done the mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving since I was 16, but I got over it pretty fast. I really didn't care as long as they were good. Spoiler alert, they were not. Everything that could have gone wrong with those potatoes went wrong. They were raisins. She was really excited. So when she asked everybody if they were good, she got some mm-hms. You know, the kind you do when your mouth's closed and you have this uncomfortable smile on your face. Everything else was good, so her dish was highlighted. We all thought we passed through it though, until my nephew spit it out into a tissue. She said something about not pleasing everybody to lighten the mood because we were all looking at him hard as hell. And my brother went, I'm sure they're glad to have a break from my mashed potatoes, anyways, and then laughed. I wasn't going to say anything, but my sister, 22 female, said, We are not, in the most monotone voice, and I just laughed, man. Like one burst of a cackle. Chelsea teared up, and the rest of the night was awkward. My brother called me an ass and is still mad at me. Am I the asshole? So
I mean, it's not your best work. I am a laugher when I'm, nervous or
on the spot. And the thing is like this outside sister who said, no, we're not, like super monotone, like she was telling the truth. And it was funny. I would do the same thing. I would cackle because it was probably just unexpected as hell. And I think a comment like that makes everyone uncomfortable for a little bit, even if it's the truth, probably, especially when it's the truth. And I would just cackle too, especially, someone's trying to say, I bet everyone's happy to have a break from your mashed potato. No, I bring the mashed potatoes every year because I make good mashed potatoes, not whatever that is.
Yeah.
I can't.
Can we go back? Raisins?
I don't
And
know. Was that like a figure of speech or were there raisins in these potatoes?
if there were actual raisins in these potatoes, then I don't, not the asshole. I mean, I probably would have laughed my ass off if there are raisins in these potatoes and they think that any other form of mashed potato wouldn't be better. I've never heard of such a thing. Have you? I don't know. I'm pretty carbaholic, I think, right? Like,
No, I'll eat a potato in any form. I've never seen a raisin near a potato.
no, I don't even. Maybe
Let us know,
I
Chick
don't know.
Chatters. Are we missing something?
Yeah, I don't know what goes on with sweet potatoes. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but to be honest, I don't even know if that would be that good. But that would probably be better than a regular like mashed potato. But I've just never heard of such a thing. Especially if you're going in thinking you're getting mashed potatoes, maybe with some skin or something, and then all of a sudden you get a bite of raisin. I'm with the kid.
True. Like, imagine the first time you feel that texture in your mouth. You're like, oh, a little bit of skin. And then you
Mhm.
chew on it and it's sweet and it tastes like a raisin mixed up in your potato. Do you put gravy on that? Because, like, I hate sweet and savory. I can't do it. Like, I would be like the little nephew or whoever. I would have to put that right back in a napkin.
I'm saying I'm the kid. I couldn't even have that in my mouth. I can't fake it. I can't just swallow something that doesn't sit well in my mouth.
I cannot eat food that I don't like. It just turns my stomach. It's awful.
Especially if I wasn't expecting it, because I don't know what that
No.
was. That could have been a bug. I didn't know it was a raisin. A raisin? I'm just so horrible in these situations. I'm a nervous laugher and I laugh at everything anyways, so it's just
That's what
funny.
I said. I'm like, this could have been me. I don't think this person is the asshole for laughing. I don't think that at all. In fact, I think this person, it sounds like, and I know we're hearing from their perspective, so, it's from their point of view, obviously, but it sounds like this person was really trying to be welcoming and understanding, even though there was things going on that they didn't even appreciate or agree with, whatever.
They had a whole dish of mashed potatoes sitting somewhere that were perfectly good for everybody to eat, waiting, and they were getting cold
Hi.
because everybody was inhaling these raisin ones.
I would have went back into wherever I stored those mashed potatoes in the oven, in a cooler, wherever. I would have went back for my mashed potatoes and I would have pulled my siblings aside and saved them from those raisin potatoes too. It's like you kind of have to maybe put both the potatoes next to each other. That maybe could have been an easy solution, is to just have options. Then maybe like scoop the raisin ones in the trash. You scoop the regular ones on your
I just can't get over the fact that there was raisins in the potatoes for long enough to even realize, like, it didn't even I guess it's a moot point, doesn't matter, the dish wasn't that great, and, like, the other sister kinda let it go, but to be honest with you, it's so hard when you're around your family to not just let comments like that go, and I guess this is her first time, she's a noob. This is what happens,
Yeah, I
You
mean, I
gotta
don't know. What was said was funny, it was true, it probably did hurt her feelings and embarrass her. I get that, like, it could be, a little tense, but it was
Right.
already tense, it seems like, so
Well, low key, she set herself up by showing up to a family event without asking what dishes were already gonna be there, and then
facts.
deciding to make something completely different because either way, even if she made the mashed potatoes and they were great, somebody in that family consistently makes the mashed potatoes. It's a family tradition. The family likes it that way. It's hard to
Mhm.
break those family traditions,
You have to
and
figure out your spot, not take someone else's
right.
spot.
Maybe see if there was a different dish you could have made ahead of time, and this whole thing could have probably been avoided. Maybe something with raisins. I don't know. If raisins is your
Maybe
ingredient. I
dessert.
don't know much about raisins, but I'm sure there's so many things you could make with raisins that would go great for Thanksgiving.
I don't think so, but maybe like a cinnamon raisin roll for dessert or something. Or like, I don't know. Let's just PSA, chick chatters. Just don't put raisins in things. Just don't. Have them
I
for a
think
little side snack. Okay. But unless it's a salad, like, just don't be putting raisins.
the simple dishes don't really need an extra spruce.
Mashed potatoes. It's butter. It's cream or milk. It's, maybe a little bit of cheese or something, some seasonings. That's it. Like, it's mashed potatoes.
I wish there was a photo because I need to know if there was like if it was mashed potatoes with little
Lumpy
bits of
dark
raisins in
pieces.
it, or was it just raisins? Because the comment just says they were raisins. Was it a big raisin, like baked potato?
Why, I almost wonder if we're misunderstand, because it just sounds so out. I'm about to Google mashed potatoes with raisins and just see if it's a real thing. And I don't know what she brought, obviously, but there's cold mashed potato and raisin salad. Blech. There's spicy mashed sweet potatoes with raisins.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I could almost see it in a sweet potato or something, but not a mashed potato.
Mashed potato raisin buns.
No, it's not a common thing. So to show up at your boyfriend's Thanksgiving, their family Thanksgiving with a uncommon dish and expect it to just go over well. Like, I'm sorry, but I've never heard of this in my life. And if somebody showed up to my Thanksgiving with some raisin and mashed potatoes, I might be spitting them out in a napkin too.
Google, it's how Google says people also ask, and one of the questions was, why do you put raisins in mashed potatoes? And the answer was, raisins are a common ingredient in many dishes, but they are typically not associated with mashed potatoes. However, raisins can add a unique flavor to mashed potatoes that can make them more interesting and flavorful. No, I vote no. I think the general consensus is that's a no. I mean, I guess it even said that. Typically, no. Mashed potatoes are probably one of my favorite parts of the Thanksgiving meal, so I'm just over here feeling a little bit triggered that someone would put raisins in. I'm telling you, I would find my sister, like whoever the person is that's responsible for the mashed potatoes, I would find them and I would be like, "Where are the potatoes?"
Take me to them, put them on my plate. I'll put a raisin on top. Never know.
Now to eat around it. Like I said, those potatoes, just the raisin ones, need to go in the trash.
This is going to be an awesome family story when these people break up. Every Thanksgiving, if this relationship doesn't work out, this is going to be the story at Thanksgiving. Even if it does work out, this will be a story at Thanksgiving for sure. For
It
sure.
will, because eventually, they'll get over it. Like, this is not a common thing. We're not going to have this every year. We won't. My family wouldn't stand for it. I know that. So
There are some comments. The first comment with the most upvotes says, there were raisins?
all is that.
Yes. There were raisins. Like 6,000 upvotes on that. I literally love that that's the only thing that person said was, there were raisins. He responded to that and said, there were raisins. Which is without the question. And then somebody asked OP, I thought you wrote, there were raisins, and I was imagining a wrinkly, shriveled up potato that were unmashed and just wondering what the kind of dinner you guys were having. The raisins in the potatoes, though, what the she had to have been with you guys. Who does that? And then somebody else said, and this is something that OP did respond to. Somebody else said, I guess my morning monkey brain isn't getting it. Like, she didn't actually make potatoes. She made mashed raisins. Oh, it's just killing me how much the internet is struggling over this.
This is difficult to understand. Okay. I think one of the most basic things in life is a love for mashed potatoes, and those are simple. It's potatoes, it's butter, it's cream or milk. You mash it up, you put some seasonings in them, and you slather it in gravy. Stop doing things with the mashed potatoes.
The There's another comment that Opie responds to, and it says, I guess my morning monkey brain isn't getting it. Like, she didn't actually make potatoes. She made mashed raisins, or she put raisins in the potatoes, or she didn't peel them and just brought in potatoes with the skin still on and hella dried up.
See, this person was perplexed. They spent significant time trying to figure out like what the options were, and like so were we. I literally sat here after we just went over this for 10 minutes, and I'm like, I don't even know if we're talking about the right thing because I still can't wrap my mind around putting raisins in some damn potatoes. And again, like the laughing about it. How could you be offended that someone's laughing at your damn? We're all laughing.
OP responded to that, and OP says she made mashed potatoes and put the raisins in the mashed potatoes. So that's clarified. So that's how she made it. She made the mashed potatoes with little dark blobs in them.
That's disgusting. That is disgusting.
The comments in this Reddit post are pretty interesting if any chick chatters do want to go find this. But one person said, okay, I was totally prepared to call you an asshole, but she put raisins in mashed potatoes. Are we sure she's not a lizard alien pretending to be a human? Like, really sure?
Mashed potatoes are a universal food. Like, there's, I can't.
Someone else commented, raisins in the mashed potatoes, quietly spits raisins into napkin. There should have been 2 bowls of mashed potatoes offered, not the asshole. I agree with that. If people want to eat raisin mashed potato, they should have that option every Thanksgiving. But you shouldn't take away the good mashed potatoes too. I mean,
Never.
let them have both. Mashed potatoes is something that we can all get a lot of. Everybody will probably take a little bit of the raisin one at first because they won't know it was raisin, but they were only offering the raisin, so everyone was forced to take it. That's pretty diabolical. So
I don't know why that choice was made. I don't know who made that choice. It wasn't a good choice for the family. Like, are they raw raisins, like just out of the box, or did they maybe saute them up a little?
Someone else commented, info. How in the world can you spoil mashed potatoes? You said they were raisins. Does that ran that they were overcooked, or does that mean that they were overcooked and burnt? OP. They were burnt and runny, and the taste was off completely. But by they were raisins, I meant that she actually put raisins in the mashed potatoes, like dried grapes in the mashed potatoes.
And now we know that they're also runny. So you're telling me you put some porridge on your plate with raisins in it. I'm done. I'm done with these. You're not going to be kind about it, and you're not bringing them back to next year if you last into next year. It's not happening. I'm going to be honest about it. This is my family Thanksgiving.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I have a very hot take. I would think that this person is the asshole if they did not laugh at this whole situation, because I'd be
For
dying.
real.
Someone
For real.
needs to laugh.
Somebody has to back that up because that person had the courage to tell the truth. I think that needed to be applauded and supported by another family member. So, you know what? Good for them. Because what? Then we're just all going to sit there in awkward silence because ain't nobody going to agree with that statement.
Dinner will continue and nobody's going to touch the rest of their mashed potatoes, and she's going to realize it then, like, y'all can't eat all that. There's no way. Unless there's somebody at your family table that will take one. I'm sure there is, because everybody's got one. But everybody
Right.
else, if they don't eat it, you know that it was bad. Just got to be able to laugh about it, and hopefully she learned her lesson to not show up to the damn Thanksgiving with raisins. But
Never. Unless it's in some kind of dessert.
So there is an update post. Questions - clearing things up in general first. Yes, they were actual raisins, not the metaphorical kind. They were just mixed into the mashed potatoes. Yes, my wife makes a side salad, as all traditional dishes are given to immediate family members. No, my brother does not make anything, never has. Chelsea and John have been together for about a month and a half at this point. The laugh wasn't a ha ha ha. It was just one very loud ha. All right, on to the meat. John is still mad at my sister and I. I had a conversation with Chelsea a day after I originally made the post. I explained that while my original apology was genuine, I can understand that it didn't come off that way, and I really was sorry. I also said that I had no intentions to hurt her feelings whatsoever. She explained that my brother told her to bring up that mashed potatoes, which she questioned because she is familiar with the traditional Thanksgiving setup. The justification for that was him wanting to make her feel part of the family. She also said that she was worried about none of us going for her dish and mentioned it to my brother, who then asked my aunt to only display hers. Apparently, she saw some kind of tutorial online with the raisins and just went for it. No, it was not cultural. She asked for some mash tips. She was going right with her technique. She just panicked when they burnt and added water, which I'm assuming is what altered the taste. Then she added the raisins, which we both agreed can be left out of future potatoes. LOL. After all, Chelsea and I are all good, and she'll be coming to Christmas dinner. Thoughts on
Yeah,
the
I was
update?
just confused how this girl knows that she up the mashed potatoes. She brought them to the family function. She then requested that those be the only potatoes provided, full well knowing that she both burnt them, put too much liquid in them, and put some funky dried fruits in them. And then she was offended when people wanted to be honest with her. You know what? That's what family is. You want to be a part of this family. We're going to be honest with you. Your potatoes suck. You can bring a pasta salad next time or a dessert. End of story. You know what? That's true acceptance of a family ultimately, because they're saying, hey, we want you to be around, but we don't want your lumpy, weird raisin potatoes. So, come next year, we'd like to see you, but come with the pasta salad and leave the raisins out.
Right. And a little advice too for any future chick chat Thanksgiving cookers. If you have only had a boyfriend for a month and a half and you're going to his Thanksgiving meal and you burnt the mashed potatoes you were going to make, just go to the store and just grab yourself a thing from Sam's Club, something else. You don't need to try to spruce
Anything
it up
else?
and throw some raisins in it. Don't ever do that. Just get a store bought. They'll understand. We would rather have store bought than burnt at the Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah. If you it up, just don't bring it. It's like half my plate during Thanksgiving is probably mashed potatoes. Like if I have to skip over that part because your girlfriend of 1 month saw something on TikTok, like I'm gonna lose my bananas. I don't
Right.
have patience for that. Not on Thanksgiving.
I am very happy that the girlfriend is open to learning how to make mashed potatoes the proper way and can own up to them being disgusting, because I was getting worried that that was a real thing, but I'm guessing it's really not.
There's some of those TikToks or reels out there that like talk about being like life hacks, but they're actually things that are like really stupid to do. She probably saw one of those. Never put raisins in mashed potatoes.
At least not the regular ones. Whatever you do with sweet potatoes is what you do in your sweet time, but not the regular mashed potatoes. Leave them alone. Leave them for the butter and the good stuff. So this girl had me thinking she was foreign because of these mashed potatoes. I was thinking, well, maybe she's not from around here and she doesn't understand that American mashed potatoes are just not made this way. But I'm glad that they said it wasn't a cultural thing. I don't know. Bring a dessert if you don't know. There's no like real pressure on you, and all goes well, it goes great. You get great compliments on your dessert, but you didn't ruin the family meal with your raisin mashed potatoes.
This is offensive to Thanksgiving. I won't stand for it.
And that's what we'll leave you on, Chick Chatters. We are claiming that the OP is not the asshole. You can laugh at people's nonsense. If the brother's still mad, let him be mad. He'll get over it eventually. I mean, he's the one that brought over raisin mashed potatoes. Everybody should be mad at him, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't give any warning, because then there wouldn't have been good mashed potatoes there for people to have later. So, all right, Chick Chatters, well, thank you so much for joining us for these stories and these crazy Thanksgiving dinners. Let us know how your dinner went. Leave any comments about any of the stories below.
Yeah, so we thank you, Lumpy. Thanks for joining us and being our honorable guest. Also, Chick Chatters, if you watched all 3 stories and you made it to the end, drop a little turkey in the comments so we know who you are.
Other than that, we hope you have a very thankful Thanksgiving and that your food was amazing. Whether it was vegan or whatever, we just hope that there was not raisins in your mashed
No raisins.
potatoes unless
No.
you wanted it.
Nobody wants it.
Thank you for joining us for our first ever Thanksgiving special.
Woo!
See you next time.
Bye.